I'm going to take a look at another fact check by this company called Logically. Now, I must say the company name is sometimes a little bit ironic, given that I've had cause to look at problems in several of their fact checks, but I'll talk about that at the end. But if we look here now, we can see the fact check is that wildfires in Canada are the result of climate change, not of arson. And they're marking this as false because there is no evidence that they were set in intentionally. So the context of this is that there was some video where these kind of conspiracy type of claims were made, and they're making the point that there's no evidence to suggest that that is true, which is fair enough. I mean, I have read somewhere that the police, I think, were investigating some wildfires in Quebec as possibly have started suspiciously, but you know, overall, I think it's fair enough what they said about that. But if we look at the bottom here, it says the verdict. Officials confirmed that wildfires were caused by drought and lightning connected to climate change. There is no evidence that they were set intentionally, therefore we have marked this claim as false. Now, the problem with this is that they've effectively set up a false dichotomy that the fires are either the result of climate change or of arson. But of course we know that there's a third possibility, which is that they've been caused by other human activity, you know, noticeably accidental setting of fires, perhaps people being negligent with barbecues or other reasons. It's also worth pointing out that climate change in itself is not a necessary condition of wildfires. So even if we weren't undergoing climate change, there would still be wildfires, whether they were started accidentally by arson or by lightning. So it's pretty strange that the you know, the fact checker here can't even understand that there's more than one potential cause, yet they've presented this very much as a climate change or arson. If we look here, there's a BBC article on the same subject. Now if I just search here, if we go down, and this does make the same point that I've done here. It says, while some of these incidents have been investigated by the police, that researchers say there is no evidence they are the main cause of the problem. Hoffman notes that roughly half the wildfires across Canada every year are ignited by lightning strikes, although the proportion is usually greater later in the summer. So, and then it goes on to say in the next paragraph that the other half of wildfires are sparked by human activity, mainly accidental, from things like car accidents, off-road vehicle ignition, fireworks, people not putting out campfires, that kind of thing. So clearly these people at least get it. And it's also worth looking at, see, in terms of the amount of wildfires and the area burned. So even though the fact check refers to climate change, as does the BBC one, if we look at this graph actually, which shows the area burned and number of fires, it's actually not clear whether climate change in recent times is really making a big difference. So if we look at the figures here, they go from 1980 to 2021, so I don't know what the 2022 figures were, but we can actually see that since 1989 there's a kind of trend, you know, going downwards, but certainly there's no obvious trend there that they're increasing by climate change. Now, I mean, there might be various reasons why the number of fires in the area burned varies. I mean, some of it may be affected by management of those areas, and you know, I guess also how good firefighting is, that kind of thing. So if we go back to the fact check here, now one of the problems I have with this outfit is generally their fact checks are pretty good, but I have noticed that on what you probably call hot button issues of the day, so COVID, certain transgender issues, and now climate change, there is a tendency in some of their fact checks to be quite sloppy, almost as if they're really trying to defend a particular narrative rather than give a truly objective fact check. So, I mean, this one is particularly egregious. It's clearly presented as a false dichotomy. So, even though their general point about arson is correct, they're certainly not given the full story here. So, I mean, as always, there's a question: who checks the fact checkers? And it certainly shouldn't be up to people like me to be doing that.